Hello and welcome to Ghost Talk. I'm your host, Angela Mitchell. If you ever wanted to reach out to a deceased loved one or you just want to learn more about yourself, our next guest is who you would want to contact. Welcome, Shannon Lane. Hi.
Hey,
So
hey
starting at
everybody.
starting at 4 years old, you actually had a spirit contact you, huh?
I did. Yeah, and I knew what it was. Nobody else did. Everybody thought, I had this imaginary friend up and until the point that I got on the airplane to leave. We lived in Europe at the time, and I told my parents, I'm like, she can't come with me. And my mom was like, well, that's odd. And I was like, nope, she can't come with me. They won't let her come with me. And she's like, who won't let her come? And I said, they. And she's like, who's they? And I said, the people standing behind her. And she's like, what people? And I said, I don't know. They're bright lights standing behind her. And she came, she left. I came to the United States and never spoke of her again until I got old enough to really understand what it was and who she was.
That's awesome. So were you at that age when you started learning about your abilities, or what age were you?
Um, Not really. I didn't really start learning about my abilities until I was about 12 or 13 when things just started happening that I couldn't understand. Started seeing people at night, started having things in my head, started seeing visions, started being able to predict different things that were going to happen. Not really predict, but see it before it happened and be like, oh, okay, saw that,
Wow.
So, and then it just kind of progressed. And then at about 23, I shut it off until about 2013.
Okay, when you say you shut it off, how did you do that? Like, was that something that you were able to learn how to do? Because I hear a lot of people say they don't know how to shut it off.
No, my daughter passed away. And when my daughter passed away, I don't know if it was going through the grieving process and just having so much grief and dealing with other things and depression that I pushed it to the side. Um, I would catch it kind of come through, but was dismissing it. And I really can't tell you how I did it. Honestly, I think at that point it was a respect thing. And spirits just kind of respected the process and what I was going through. And then in 2013, my daughter actually came to me and told me it was time. And then it, boom.
Time to
And it,
awaken, huh?
yes, and it was full throttle. I mean, it was no stopping once it happened then.
I am truly
So
sorry to hear about your daughter.
thank you. So she's
So,
still with me.
uh, that's a good thing about what we do. We get our loved ones really close and we understand that bond. So,
Right. Yeah. She serves as the guide. She's pretty constant. So
that's amazing. So, do you mentor others or help them with their psychic abilities?
I do. I mentored Alyssa Mask was my first mentor. She's up in North Mississippi. They have their own team now, Southern Extension. When I have people come on my team, if they're gifted or wanting to work on their abilities, we do. I've, worked with people just, from the empath side of it to communication. As a matter of fact, I kind of got pushed by guidance and friends to do classes. So I'm actually going to start doing classes in March for the first time ever. So I'm really kind of excited about that. So just kind of a push to get people to understand it and, recognize it for what it is. And just be able to learn to process what they have. Because I believe everybody's gifted. We just have to learn to use it.
Okay. So, what about during an investigation? What was one of your most exciting psychic finds or discoveries?
Probably the Monroe House in Indiana. Able to go in and just a lot of it was a lot of validation that the homeowners had felt, and one of the homeowners' sisters. We were dealing with a mass murder. We were dealing with some cult-like activity, and to be able to go into the home and connect with some of the women that this psychopath killed, being able to go through the process of where some of these people were buried, being able to see the girl being put into the back of an old wagon, um, watching it through her eyes, driving off, um, calling for her mom, um, up and until her last breath, feeling everything that she felt. That was probably the most profound
Yeah.
um, that I've ever dealt with, because I felt everything she felt. And a lot of times, spirit, once they pass, they don't really go back to their death, unless they've got a story to tell. So that was a pretty profound investigation.
And so, was she able to pass on, like, or move on after that?
Yeah,
So you
she
helped
did.
her through that?
Hmm we were able to get them to cross over.
That's amazing. That's really great. So, how can somebody reach out to you if they need some help?
Roots and Rings Paranormal is our website. Everything we do, including my readings, are free. I don't charge for any of it. So, but we've investigated as far up as, like I said, Indiana, all the way to Texas. So, we will go out of our way to help people.
That's awesome. That's really good. Yeah, me and Tim were actually at the Monroe House. What was it, October, September, something like that, Tim? Yeah.
Yeah, that place is pretty incredible. It's got a lot, a lot going on. I'm
Yeah,
going
so
back this November.
nice. So, tell me about some of the haunted houses that you lived in growing up. Like, have you ever lived in it?
Um, every house I've lived in's been haunted.
They just follow you. It's not that
They
they're
do.
haunted, they just come to
Um,
you.
they do. And now, like I told you, I have 14-year-old twins, and they're both gifted. So we kind of just sit around and talk about our guests. We've got three that stay here. I've got he stands about 6'5" man that he's kind of, we call him the creeper. I mean, he's never really messed with any of us. He's not mean. He just looks a little intimidating. Um, he's kind of hunched over. He kind of just walks around, but he likes to hang out outside of my bedroom door at the back door. So he's kind of just present. Then we have a female nurse. We can't figure out where she comes from. Very tiny little petite thing in the old school white nurse outfit, down to the shoes that's got the little, I don't know, the big soles on them, and the Red Cross. And she just kind of hangs out, and she's kind of prim, she's kind of proper, she watches over everybody, and she kind of reminds me more of a teacher than a nurse. She's got that presence to her. And
Mhm.
then we have a young one that's about 9 or 10, that I don't think um, he's not well. Let's just put it that way. I mean, he kind of hides in the corner. He just kind of, hangs out. He's very frail and just, I think, sickly. We haven't ever really been able to get him to communicate with us. He's still very shy. So, house before this one, we had an old man that died of cancer that hung out. He liked women in the kitchen and cooking.
Oh.
So, if I let the house go for a little while, if I didn't cook for several days, he let us know he was there and he wasn't happy with me. So,
So Tim was asking, how do you get used to sensing all that's going around you?
um, I think I've done it so long that, like I kind of explained to you earlier, spirits become very respectful with me. About 3 years ago, I kind of threw a temper tantrum because they wouldn't leave me alone. So I kind of just shut them all out and kind of created my own little poltergeist activity for about 2 weeks. And had kind of had a come to Jesus moment with them. And since then, they've been very respectful. um, I kind of threatened to shut down and not communicate anymore. So, but and I think anybody that goes through this kind of goes through that, learning the process of how to close down and shut down. And it was kind of my process as well as their process of
Yeah.
just, respect.
Yeah,
They respect
definitely.
me, I respect them.
Definitely needs respect on both sides. It's like
Hmm
same thing whenever you go investigate, the spirits is God, you cannot come into my personal space.
Right.
You've got to give me space.
Right. And I try to remind homeowners too when we have private clients, if we're dealing with somebody that was their home, respectfully, that was their space at one time. So it's, it kind of goes both ways.
All right, so our haunted location is next. We're going to check out the old high school in Bartlett, Texas. Check out this clip by JohnJohn.
I'm coming down to see you.
I hate him.
I'm coming down to see you.
I hate him.
Oh, my bad. Those were your... Oh, my bad. Those were your... Who's down here with us? Who's down here with us?
Let's welcome the owner and founder. Oh, we're echoing.
Got it?
Yep. I don't know why I'm echoing. Did I hit a button? Hold on one second. All right, John, just start talking about the property.
Hey, how's it going? So the old Red Skull. So it is an old school that is in Bartlett that was made from a colored school and put together from another school. We think the reason why that building at that location has been so haunted is because of all the wars that happened there in this area, in the Central Texas area, with all the Indians and the army that happened here, along with what Bartlett or the city, the people of the town say that there is a lot of witchcraft in the area, a lot of drug passes through there. So like one of the other things is La Santa Muerte. That's another thing that, protects, so to speak, the drug dealers and stuff like that. And that's what they pray for. And it's kind of like another religion, for that. So there's just so much going on in that property, in that area. They even have what the law officials call their own Bermuda Triangle because of the amount of car accidents that happen on that road called, Spur 95, which I live in Little River. So we actually have our own Spur 95, and there has been a lot of deaths on that road, like unbelievably a lot, a lot of car accidents, fatal accidents, bad stuff. But that building itself, I mean, we've been investigating that now for almost a year, until I decided to shoot a documentary about the town. But it seems like that building is kind of like the center of things. So we've caught EVPs with names, and we do our research, and then we find out later that it was like somebody who actually owned like stores downtown, or who were part of the family who actually were like the founders of Bartlett. So there's just so much going on there. I'm still shooting it, so there's just a lot of story there.
And where was this at?
In Bartlett, Texas.
I don't know how I messed up my mic.
But yeah, there's just a lot of things going on there. The middle of the town, downtown as well, has been lots of activity as well. The old buildings, we found out through research, like Bartlett was like one of the first towns to have the railroad as well. So a lot of rumors too have been like mass murder because of they didn't need the workers anymore, and there were a bunch of immigrants and they just got rid of them. So we've caught crazy EVPs inside the first bank, inside the alleyways. But the only reason why I started shooting in Bartlett was because of the shadow person that the people say that they see that goes down the alleyways. And then they also say at a certain time at night, there is a big black mist that hovers over the town. So that's why I started investigating and documenting all of this stuff over here in Bartlett. So that's why I'm there. But other than that, I mean, seems pretty easy. We go spend the night in there and stuff like that. So and try to investigate.
How many times have you been there?
I've been there about 6 times already, and I've hosted public tours in there as well. But with the public tours, I'm very cautious because just like Shannon, I actually have abilities as well. But I tend to pick up more on the darker side of stuff, and suppose I haven't really tapped into like human spirits or anything like that. So everything that I pick up on has always been like negative, demonic, or anything like that. And it's like they're almost like talking to me, and I can sense what they're doing. I can sense what they're trying to do. I can sense who they're working through. It's almost like very second nature to me. And just like her, I was doing this. I had this ability since I was 6 years old, and like when 10 have said, how could you perfect this? For me, it just became, the more I got involved in the more cases that I got involved with, I learned how to control myself. I learned how to detect which ones are telling me the truth, which ones are not telling me the truth. Who can I pick up? How can I pick it up? So I basically learned on the fly, but the one thing that got me to actually study myself was I was doing a birdcage theater investigation in Tombstone. And I was in a small group, and some lady just pointed me out, and she's like, "You're special." And I was like, what are you talking about? And she was just like, "You're a clairsentient." And I was like, "I don't know what that is." So she wrote down a piece of paper to me, gave it to me. She's like, "If all these things fit you, I want you to come back tomorrow, and I want you to talk to me." So I was like,
Nice.
Okay. And I came back, and everything hit. So I was like, what do I do? And she just gave me like a 101 right there, and just right there, and said it, and did send her a Tombstone, which is like, what do you feel here? What do you do this? And just having a field day with me.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then, but like a lot of my cases are all, I don't want to say demonic, but they are in that nature. I recorded 74 cases last year, and almost all of them, except for maybe 2 or 3, have been all demonic in that type of realm. So going back to Bartlett, the basement in that red school is where I picked up a portal that something, I don't want to say its name, but it starts with a B, ends with a B. But he has residents in that building down there, and he's thrown stones. I had a group of maybe 6, 7 people down there, and the biggest growl you'll ever hear was down there. Heavy footsteps, all that stuff in that basement. So that's why I like going back down there. So I'm trying to figure out more of the history of what's there in Bartlett.
Yeah, I'm I stay away from anything evil.
Well, I mean, I guess on that aspect for me, it's more of a calling. It just became second nature, and because like I said, in those cases, I don't want to say I'm an exorcism or I do an exorcist or anything like that, but just I'm doing rites on these people. Some of these people don't have like the luxury to wait a couple of weeks or a month or 2 months for the church to do something about it. So in my family lineage, it's been passed down through our blood. This is what we're supposed to do. So I finally became and embraced it. And so when that happened, the amount of cases that I've got to help these people had like tripled. Like it was, like I said, 74 cases last year. Like who does that? And on top of that, they're all demonic almost. So, and then with that comes over the price. I have higher rank ones that follow me. It's hard. It's very hard to do this. So, it's taken a toll on me. And earlier, before I even knew what I was, I couldn't control it. I would wake up I had some of my fellow investigators saw me with my eyes turn black, because I would let it in and I didn't know how to control it. And my eyes would get super black. I would turn to somebody completely different, but that's just what it is. And then I finally was just like, no more. And I'm taking control of this. And then after that, it was just like, I don't know, the amount of cast outs I have done feels like now I'm kind of like their public enemy now, so to speak, because it seems like I'm every one that I come up with, the new case is always a higher rank, always a higher rank, always a higher rank. And I can't really say too much about what happened in Kansas, but it is one of the very high ranking ones. And because of the abilities I have, last year I wrote down that this number was going to come into my life for some reason. And it was written, I wrote down in my journal, November or something of 2020, this number is going to be sufficient to me. I don't know why, but I need to prepare myself. I need to get ready. I need to do all this other stuff. Kansas went over there, and then all of a sudden there's the number. It is like literally everywhere. And I found out what was there, and I was like, okay, so here we go. Time to prepare.
So tell me about the high school.
Mhm.
Is that somewhere somebody else can investigate, or you got permission?
Pretty much you can go through me, and they still use it for like city functions and stuff like that, so if you can go through me and reach me, I can give you the information, because they don't like to really be public, because Bartlett is becoming a town for tourists. So what they're trying to do is be more positive. But when somebody is, when they got paranormal teams coming in, it's already a town where they already film. So a lot of movies have already been filmed there. The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, a lot of old movies have been filmed there. Western movies have been filmed there. So they're known for that, but they're trying to be more positive, so to speak. So, if anybody wants to investigate, it will be on the lowdown, so to speak, and they'll, I give them the number, and then they just contact them, and then just kind of be out of the way. They don't want any publicity out of it and stuff like that. The reason why I put this video up is because I got the permission from the mayor and from all the city officials, and had to have meetings upon meetings upon meetings just to finally say yes. So it's a task for them, but it's doable, and I can get you in.
So Shannon, you have any questions for JohnJohn?
We need to talk because I need to go.
Yeah, there's.
John, do you have your like a phone open? Like it's echoing on both of us.
I don't have anything open.
Oh, somebody has something.
It's just my phone. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I can. There's, like I said, I'm investigating the entire town, so I'm finding more other locations, like the old school building, that's the old bank building, so to speak. Apparently there was a fire in there, and when we went in there, we were the first team to ever do an investigation in there. And like, we heard disembodied voices. We heard somebody screaming, "It hurts, it hurts, it burns, it burns." And, and then we kind of did our research, and we found out that building actually caught on fire.
Oh, wow.
That one, like I said, that entire town is just waiting, waiting to be heard to tell its story. So
Bartlett's a pretty amazing town.
Oh yeah. And same thing with Little River. Little River is kind of like maybe 15 minutes from it, and they used to have a fort here that used to fight off the Indians before they would actually come to the temple. and the amount of paranormal that happens here is also like another little documentary waiting to happen, and then you finally get it to Temple. And then, of course, Bonnie and Clyde used to stay in one of the big haunted hotels over here downtown, and stories there as well. Bookseller is one of the main haunted places in Temple, so I got access to all of that.
We're going to bring Philip Wyatt on now. Hi, Philip.
Hello. So I'm going to be echoing. Huh?
Hold on. Let me see something real quick. All right. Do you want to talk?
All right. Is that better?
Your phone, JohnJohn.
Oh, okay. Well, this is boring after hearing about all those fun things. I'm going to be talking about the mel meter, which is next to the K2 meter, probably the most common piece of equipment that we use. But I want to give a little backstory because a lot of people may not know how the mel meter came to be. But in 2004, the daughter of Gary Galka, her name was Melissa, was in a severe car accident. She had severe head injuries, and after 4 days on life support, the family had to decide to remove her from life support, which they did. And shortly after, the family started experiencing a lot of paranormal activity, like doorbells ringing, lights going off and on. Even the sister saw full body apparition of the sister that had passed. So the dad, Gary, was trying to figure out, a little bit more about the paranormal world. So he started watching some of the television shows and noticed that the equipment that the people on the shows were using were all made for the electrical field, like professionals, like this one. So he has an engineering background. So he developed the mel meter 8704, which was the first mel meter. And 87 is the year that his daughter was born, and 04 was the year that she passed. So that's where the number for the mel meter comes from, which I think is just a beautiful tribute. But the original mel meter had, it measures EMF fields, which any thing that has an electrical current will have an EMF field. If it has alternating current, the EMF field is going to fluctuate more than a direct current. And also has a ambient temperature. It's too hard to see, but that's kind of the basic mel meter. Now, the newer mel meters are black. This is one of the older original mel meters, and they can have up to 7 different functions. You can get a combination of all kinds of things now, and they range from the basic price, which is just the EMF detector and temperature, for $99 on the website that I told you about, the Pro Measure, which you can go to find these. And then the one with the 7 different functions is about $275 on sale. But you can get anything from, there's the ATDD, which is the ambient temperature detection. It will let you know if the temperature fluctuates 5 degrees hotter or colder, which personally I find that very annoying because that's what the REM pod does. And, if the air conditioning's on, if the heater's on, the thing's going to just go off constantly. Also has the REM effect, which you can make basically a REM pod, which is great. I use that a lot. What else to do? The new ones have glow-in-the-dark buttons, but you have to have them in the sunlight or in the light for a while for them to work, which is really great because the original ones don't light up, and you're always trying to figure out what the buttons are in the dark. Also, they can come with a shadow detector, built-in laser grid, and a very high-intensity red flashlight. So you can get a fully loaded one with all 7 of those features for around $300. But that's a lot of stuff on one mel meter. One important thing is a mel meter is a single access detection device. It has one sensor in it, which means you have to have this pointed in the direction of the EMF. So when you're doing baseline readings, you want to move it very slow, turn it back and forth to see where your EMF is coming from. The professional, these, which are kind of expensive, but I got this one on sale, it has a triple axis, which it will detect EMF in 3 different directions, which is important if you're trying to track if an entity is moving across a room. A single access is only going to pick it up from one way, where a triple access, you're going to get it if it's moving. So if you can have more than one meter, place them around the room so you can detect where this entity is moving around, because you can't do it if this is in one place, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If not, we can talk. You can email me later and we can talk about it. And another very important thing is I wanted Angela to put up the link to the YouTube video on how to calibrate your meter, which a lot of people don't do and don't even know about doing. But after every night of use, you want to recalibrate this so that your readings are going to be more precise. Because, this is an electronic instrument and, it needs to be tweaked. So always recalibrate. And the videos on YouTube on how to do it. It's very simple. You got to hold some buttons, but it will recalibrate this and set it back to 0 for you.
Nice.
But that's kind of the meter in a nutshell. And do not lose because that is for your temperature, but they do sell replacements. I keep a few extra of those because I lose things. So that's the meter.
All right. I put both of those links in the comments so y'all could check them out afterwards. Shannon, do you have any feedback on the meter? Do you use it?
We do use the meter. Like he said, it's a great device if you know how to use it. I've noticed a lot of people in the field don't necessarily know what they're doing with it. But it's effective if you know how to use it and you use it properly and you get that baseline.
And that's exactly why I get Philip on the show, to tell people how to use
it. There is a place for you to attach it to a 1/4 screw to put it on a tripod. Get these off the floor, people. Ghosts don't always just crawl across the floor. So get this kind of up in the center of a room for a little bit better coverage. And especially for the temperature reading. The temperature is going to be so different from the floor to the middle of the room to the ceiling. So get it up off the floor.
All right, John, you're on mute.
I'm out of Facebook prison. Yeah, we use it sometimes too. It's a very good tool, but going back to like Shannon, I try to not use so much equipment so that way I can get my abilities to where I want them. And then I go back and then use that same equipment so that way I can coincide what I'm feeling to what is actually scientific. So that way we get them both at the same time.
Yep.
So
it's very important that when you're doing private home investigation, you get the baseline readings in that house, because if somebody's headboard is up against the electrical panel, they can be having paranormal happenings that have nothing to do with the paranormal. High EMF readings can cause you to have nausea, hallucinations, vomiting, all kinds of things. So you want to make sure you go through these people's houses and debunk them. And, that's about the best tool for that.
Nice. All right, Shannon, so do you have anything coming up? Any thing you want to call out?
We got all kinds of things coming up. But I didn't prepare. So if you go to our page, we've actually got a private client investigation in Aberdeen that we are going to go talk to, and she's actually going to talk to us about doing events in her home. Her house is actually part of the Underground Railroad, so it's full of children. From the age of about 4 to the age of about 16, 17, girls, boys, black, white, they're all there. Also, there's a preacher man that lives in the house that likes to be chatty about the Bible. We have that one. We've got Fernwood in Fernwood, Mississippi, a house that we have done several times. The owner of the home, he does not live there. It is where he keeps all his haunted collectors. We're going to actually do that one the weekend of the 19th of this month. We'll be there all weekend. We will be going live. The hearse that was just recently used in a movie that's from the 1600s from New Orleans is actually going to be back in the backyard. So we will be doing some investigating with the hearse. The carriage house is now open, so we'll be going into the carriage house as well. And it was formerly also a drug rehab facility center. So a lot of times, some of the past guests from the rehab facility will also chat and communicate with us. So we'll go live a lot, and every time we go to Fernwood, it is completely different.
Nice.
There's a portal in the mirror, so there's no telling. So,
all right, John, what about you? What do you have coming up?
Got more private investigations. Still working on my book right now, and then I'm doing some filming for some TV shows that I'm not allowed to say right now, but that's currently in the works right now as well. So a lot of things. Storm chasing season's coming up as well pretty soon, so I'll be out there chasing some tornadoes as well.
I want to go with you for that.
You got it.
What about you, Philip? What you got coming up?
Next Wednesday on my page, Ghost Education 101, I'm going to be interviewing Brandon Masulo, who wrote the Ghost Studies. If you have not read that book, it's a must-read for paranormal investigators. And he's going to do a presentation on the science of ghosts, which has a lot to do with electricity and the theories behind how ghosts are formed and created. The book is fantastic. So be sure next Wednesday, the 17th at 9:00, Ghost Education 101.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for being on the show.
Thank you.
bye. Thanks for having us.